Hello everyone. In this video, I would like to show you a quick demo of this Telegram app that I recently built. And the reason why I wanted to show you this is because I couldn't really find a video about this that went a little bit more in depth. And it's actually a very simple way to create a full stack app. Now, I'll include timestamps in the video so that you can skip to the parts you want. But first, let me tell you why I think this could be interesting to try as a project or maybe to learn. Because you'll see that with minimal setup, you can, for example, have a system that delivers users live notifications wherever they are, as long as they have a device with Telegram. And even though Telegram bots are public and anyone can technically message them, you could add some sort of authentication and subscription. In fact, in this project, I added a simple login system to manage users. So to make it interesting, I made a web scraper using Playwright. Now, of course, if you ever want to quote unquote scrape a website or build an app like this, I'd recommend you sticking to their official APIs. But in this video, I just want to show you a few scraping techniques that you can use to build something like it for yourself. And before looking at how it works, let me briefly tell you about the stack that I used for this project. I used Playwright for the web scraping, though you can use any other library such as Puppeteer. I used Postgres for the database through Prisma, and Express.js for the HTTP server. Okay, here's a diagram. So our code is going to be consisting of two main files. One is going to be the server.ts, which is going to use the Express library, and the bot.ts that is going to be using the Telegraph library. So the user could communicate with our server through an HTTP agent, such as Postman, or they could also use the Telegram app, which obviously we're going to be focusing on. If they choose to use the Telegram app, they're going to be sending messages by there. For example, a check for updates message that we'll see later in this video. And our bot.ts file, which uses Telegraph, is going to detect those messages because it'll basically be using long polling. And all that means is that it is going to be sending HTTP requests that look like this one. And it's going to be doing that every few milliseconds. And if in one of those GET requests, it detects that there is a message, it is going to run whatever logic accordingly. So the way I set it up is that it's going to be sending HTTP requests using Axios so that it can behave sort of like the HTTP agent. So that is one of the things that it can do. It can also interact directly with the database. So let's talk about the database. So basically, if you're using the regular HTTP agent and you create an account, you're not going to create a Telegram user for you. You're just going to create your regular account. It is just for users that use the Telegram app that are going to be creating a Telegram user. The Telegram users in our database are going to contain a Telegram ID that is going to be unique to every chat that is created on Telegram. It's also going to contain the email of the user so that if a user wants to delete their account, it is just going to request their email for validation. And finally, this token refers to the JWT token that gets generated when someone creates a user. So all of our server is going to be using authentication for any request that is not creating a user. So the way it's going to work is that the user using the Telegram app are going to be sending a message to the bot. It is going to retrieve the user from the database, and it is going to retrieve their JWT token. And with that, it is going to send an Axios request to our server. So let's say the user wants to start tracking the price of a computer. In this case, the server is going to reach out to the marketplace, and it is going to scrape the data of that item. And once it has that data, it is going to store it to the database, and it'll belong to the list of tracked items of the user who added it. And later on, the user can request a check for updates for all the items they're tracking, and the same thing will happen. So the server will take a look at the marketplace and compare the new scraped data with what is already stored. And obviously, if there's a price change, it'll inform the user. And finally, this AI part is completely optional, so our app can exist regardless of it. It's really just a third-party service. Again, you don't have to use it, and I added it to give this app a little bit more functionalities beyond tracking items. Okay, so here we are in Telegram. Now don't worry about how to set this up. It is actually very simple, and I'll show you in just a minute. But I'd like to first show you the features that it has. What this will allow us is to add products to a tracker. and we can basically ask for updates whenever we want, and we can even set up price alerts. Now let's go through the first command, which is the add one to tracker. Actually, it isn't necessary to sign up first, so I'm going to use my name. Okay, now we can go ahead and add a product. Now for this video, I chose to scrape an e-commerce website called Mercado Libre. I didn't want to scrape Amazon because they're a little bit more strict, but you can find a lot of tutorials out there on how to scrape Amazon. Remember, always use public APIs if they are available, but this video is just for education. Okay, so let's send this one. And now I'm gonna send a second product. Okay, excuse me for that. Now let me show you what other commands we have. This display products one is simply gonna show us the products that we are tracking, and we can actually refer to these IDs to do any operation that we want. I'll show you in just a second. Now, we can use this check for updates to basically, well, here's gonna ask us which updates we want to check for. Let's say all. What it's gonna do, even though we didn't see it, it is gonna run the scraper on the background, and it's gonna look for updates. In this case, there are no updates available. So what is actually happening under the hood is that this Telegram bot is sending Axios request to my server. Again, I'm gonna show you all of that in just a second. Now, if we go into the code, this is basically the code for Playwright. I'm gonna show it to you later on the video. But here we are basically saying that we want to run the page on headless mode, but if we set it to false, okay, it saves automatically because I'm using NodeMon. And I check for an update again. We'll see how it is. Well, we didn't catch it, but it basically ran the scraper on the background. But let's first go through some other features. In this case, I'm going to use Postman to send 10 URLs together since I have not implemented that on the actual bot. So let's go ahead. Okay, and in the body, it is going to show us the confirmation with the title of products. Okay, so let's go back to the app. And we can check for updates for all of them as well. Okay, and no updates found. Obviously, we would need to wait for a price change on one of our products, which is not going to happen soon. So I'll just leave an image about how it works. Now let's move to the interesting part, and that is the price alerts. So up to this point in the video, we've been storing all our products data in a database on Postgres. So when we talk about price alerts, we mean that our server is going to be constantly taking a look at the marketplace to see if there are price changes. And it's also going to be comparing that data to what we've already stored in Postgres. So just so we can see it in action, let me actually modify this part of the code. Now here we are actually saying that every 60 seconds our server is going to be looking for updates. So let's modify this to something like 10 seconds. And also, this is part of the Playwright part of the project. So here we are looking for this element in the Mercado Libre website, and we want to capture the price in this variable. I'm just going to say that the price is always going to be something different, right? Or it could be anything I want. We're basically tricking the app into thinking that there are price changes whenever it's looking for updates. I'll first start a server because if not, it's not gonna work. Okay, now I'll quickly opt in for price alerts. And we should be receiving price alerts anytime soon. Again, we tricked the server into thinking that there are gonna be price changes. So let's wait for it. And as you can see, we get notified. Now, don't worry about these numbers. Again, it's because we tweaked them a little bit here. right here. So what I want to do now is I want to do the same, but I'm gonna be running it on two different devices just to simulate it. So I brought another Telegram window from the browser, and I'm gonna be setting it up quickly. Okay, and I am gonna modify the price again for the server to think that there are updates. Okay, and I just need to opt in for price alert. Okay, and we're successfully receiving price alerts on the two devices, excuse me. And all right, all right. And finally, I just would like to show you some other features that I implemented, just so you can all right, and finally, I just would like to show you some other features that I implemented, just for you to know that you can turn this into whatever you want. So for example, this get review summary, it is going to ask me for a URL, and based on that, it is going to be sending the reviews of this product to an AI API. So let's wait for it. Okay, and basically what's happening under the hood is that, well, the server is already configured with a prompt, and it scrapes the reviews of this product. And as I mentioned, it is going to send it to the AI and, well, basically gives us a summary of the reviews. Of course, it is a third-party AI via a service called OpenRouter. I recommend you check them out. So lastly, I'm gonna use this get all prices command, and it is gonna ask me for the name of a product. It could really be any keyword of your choice, for example, computer. And basically, again, it's gonna scrape the all the search results, and it should return a JSON file with all the prices and titles for your analysis, for example. So let's just wait for it. Okay, here it is. Let's open it. I'll format it, and here it is. Now, there are a couple other features, but the main idea is that you can turn this into whatever you want. All right, let's see how we can set up the Telegram bot. We first need to look for bot father and make sure you click on the one that's verified. Now let's click on start and click on new bot. It's going to ask us for a name. It can be whatever you want, really. And now it asks us for a nickname, and this one does have to be unique, and it needs to end with the word bot. And just like that, it gives us the token that we can use in our code. So let's now go to our bot. Finally, I'll just show you the code structure, and I made sure I left plenty of comments so you can review them. And you'll find a link to the repo of this code in the description so you can clone it and maybe test it yourself. Just make sure you configure the environment variables. Also, make sure you read the readme.md file. It is going to contain instructions to run the server and also to run the tests. And also make sure you read the API underscore endpoints. Now, if we scroll up, I divided my Express server into controllers, routers, and middlewares. Oh, and also Zod schemas. What else? We also have the Telegram bot right here, bot.ts. In this file, I used the Telegraph library, and you'll see that I used a lot of else if conditions. It's because of the nature of Telegraph. But as you'll read here, this is just for user experience. You can feel free to skip all of these else if conditions, and you'll just have something like this. Show you. Okay. So again, I won't focus on how to exactly write this code, but it's very simple. Um, it follows this logic of bot.command, and you just write the commands that you want in an array. And when the user types one of these commands, it's going to run the logic that is inside. In this case, it is both going to reply with this message, and it is going to point to this logic down here. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I know I'm going a little bit too fast. Now let's take a look at the database. It is using Prisma. And again, if you choose to run this by yourself, just make sure you connect it to a valid Prisma URL. And to explain this, I decided to make another image. So whenever a user starts tracking a product for the first time, it is both going to add a row to this table with the title and URL of the product, and also it is going to add one row to this track products table. So you might be wondering why we have a different table for the title and URL. And the thing is that every time a user checks for updates or if they have price alerts on, they're gonna constantly be adding new rows to this track products table. So at the end, the user can take a look at all the rows that they've added for the same product, and they can have this sort of price history. So again, when users add products for the first time, they're going to be adding one unique row here. And these are not going to be unique. These are going to be just for the price history. This Telegram user that I put this question mark here indicating that is optional, because remember that our API can exist without the Telegram component. So someone could use, let's say, Postman, and do not care about this salt thing. It's just because I implemented some crypto, and I believe that's it. Okay, so back to the code. We also have the folder for the scraper. Again, I'm using Playwright. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you have some knowledge about either Playwright or Puppeteer. This file in specific is the one that is going to be responsible for gathering the data in case the user requests for a JSON file of a keyword. So whatever the keyword the user sends, it is going to search for that on the search bar, and it's going to be looping through all the results. But again, I'm not going to go too in detail, but we have a few other files for the scraper. We have the ones to get the reviews, the details, and these are to get the information of the product in case the user wants to check for updates on their price. Now this is going to be the file responsible for creating the page and configuring the browser of Playwright. And finally, we have this Ask AI file, and I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check out OpenRouter. You can get a free API code, and there are some free models that you can test. In this case, I'm using this Google Gemini 2.0. So there you have it. You can use this setup to scale it as you want. And if you do decide to create something similar, please share it with me. I would love to see it.